Hey guys, welcome back. So obviously about a week ago we got the Nintendo Direct live, and during that Nintendo Direct live we got the director of The Legend of Zelda come on, and he said that he hasn't got any information about Breath of the Wild 2, which is quite unfortunate. But instead I thought today we could instead speculate about Breath of the Wild 2. We can talk about what we know, what we think could happen, and then you guys can let me know what you think in the comments, and let's just get right into it. Just quickly before we do get into it, I just wanted to say to you guys, if you do want to check out that video where I went over everything in the Nintendo Direct, well, everything important, you can check out my other video and I go over my opinions on it, and then you guys can also let me know what you feel about that. So go and check that out. I'll leave the link in the description. Obviously, we don't know that much about Breath of the Wild 2 so far. We know a couple of things, so let's just quickly go into that. So the first thing that we know is it's going to be set on the same map as Breath of the Wild, which at first I was thinking, how is that going to be fun and like fresh, because we've already played on this map, we've gone through it, and this is going to be a new $60 or £50 game depending where you're from. I don't know if it's going to be completely worth it if it's pretty much recycled content. So although the map is the same, I really don't think we have to worry too much about it being repetitive and very, very similar to Breath of the Wild. Just because, as I go into it in a couple of minutes, there's such a large contrast between Breath of the Wild and Breath of the Wild 2 from what we already know, even though we know very little. The story seems so different and the gameplay is so diverse that it will feel like a completely different game, which it should. So with the story, we don't actually know what the story is going to be yet. Obviously, we don't know how the story is going to play out, anything like that. But what we do know is that this story is going to be a lot darker than Breath of the Wild, which is probably going to affect how the map looks as well. Like, it's probably going to be a bit darker. The grass is going to be darker. Everything's just going to be darker all around. It's going to give more of an eerie effect everywhere you go. And maybe a bit more creepy. So that's just another change that there will be. Then also, if you watch the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, which I'm guessing you did, the cinematic one that came out, like a year or so back, we saw that in one of the scenes, which I'll put on screen now, it was Link and Zelda in this dungeon area. Obviously, in Breath of the Wild, there was obviously shrines, but there was no sort of like dungeons like there was in any other Legend of Zelda game. Like in the other Legend of Zelda games, there was these huge dungeons that you could go through and explore, but in Breath of the Wild that was kind of missing that. But it seems like with this game, that's kind of what they're going to do. You can see like this huge cave that they go through, and it seems like there's so much more to it. Furthermore, on the topic of the trailer, as you can see in the trailer, we have Link standing right next to Zelda, and we can see Zelda's got a shorter haircut. Maybe this could be really nothing and just a little bit of a change, but I reckon it could be that, she's far more ready to, do combat. So a lot of people have speculated about this, but maybe she will be a playable character. Other people have said, and this is an idea I've come about, people have said that Zelda could be like an option for a co-op sort of game. So maybe obviously one of you would play Link and one of you would play Zelda. I really don't think this is right. Like, some people think this is like, a great idea. You have your friend over, whatever, you can play together in Breath of the Wild 2. But it really doesn't seem like a game like that really at all. I don't really know how to put it. It just doesn't seem like that. Like, obviously there's not like any leveling up system or anything. There's not really anything competitive. It's kind of just exploring together, which I guess could be fun if they did it the right way. But I really don't see any way of this working. But then obviously a Mario game that you can play co-op in that, but that doesn't have any sort of leveling up system. But it's sort of a race to the flagpole and stuff, and you work together a bit better. Breath of the Wild just never seemed like a game that you would really work together with somebody on. You're kind of alone in this journey. So I really don't think that a co-op version of Breath of the Wild would be something that would work at all. Also, I feel like in this game, it's going to have to take such a large turn story-wise compared to Breath of the Wild, just because of repetition. Like, because it is the same map, as much as I think they're going to do to make this a completely different experience, I do obviously think the story is going to have to take a huge turn, just because I don't want it to be really repetitive, like very similar to Breath of the Wild if we're paying, full price for a new game. I don't really have to talk about this for long, but obviously this is quite self-explanatory. We're going to need new weapons as well. Like, we're going to need loads of new weapons. Maybe Link should have a couple new things added to his moveset, but I'm pretty sure that's a given. That's going to be something that's going to happen anyway. It sounds like, from the way I'm saying it, it sounds like I don't want it to be like Breath of the Wild at all, because I don't like Breath of the Wild. That is really not the case at all. I was a huge fan of Breath of the Wild. I loved playing it every single day. But I just don't want to be paying, £50, $60, depending on where you're from, obviously, for a game that I already have. I just don't want that to be a thing, because it's not often that you spend your money on a new game which has like the same map, so very similar things. But obviously I'm in hope that they're going to add so many new things that it feels like a genuine new game, which we obviously need. So, as I was saying before about how dark the storyline was going to be, they said that it was going to be the darkest Zelda game yet, which is quite crazy considering Majora's Mask was like quite a dark storyline game and everything like that. So it's going to be quite surprising to have this sort of tone, especially how Breath of the Wild was really not like that at all. So this is a really different path that they're taking, but I think it could be really successful. Right, so that's pretty much all I got for today. I'm sorry I didn't really talk much about what we actually know so far. It's because we really do not know much. But it was really fun to speculate. If you enjoyed speculating with me, make sure you do leave that like and subscribe. It really helps me out way more than you think it does. Leave your comments down below on what you thought about it. Different things that you think may come to Breath of the Wild too. I really want to know. But that's basically it. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.